Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast of your favorite team in the Bay Area. And on today's episode, we continue to ask one big question about the Sharks, and we're going to be focusing on the captain, Logan Couture, and then if this is sustainable, if this is the new Logan Couture, or was this a blip season for Couture? So all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Sharks.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, JD, Young contributor at San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. You can follow or subscribe for free wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch this on YouTube as well, where all the episodes drop first. And on today's episode, we're going to be digging into Logan Couture. We're going to review his last season, kind of what were the key components to why the season was really such a successful season for Logan Couture, and then kind of look ahead and see what we can potentially expect from Couture moving forward by looking at some other very prominent Sharks players and kind of figure out, is this Logan Couture here to stay? Or are we going to see kind of what we've seen the past couple seasons before this season? Before we get any further, do want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you guys by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment matter more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. So, Logan Couture this year, way we're going to kind of break this down. We're going to look at kind of how his season ended, look at his stats, look at his fancy stats. Then we're going to talk about kind of why I think the two things that were a big reason for why Logan Couture had such a successful season this year. And then we're going to look ahead at kind of some comparables as Logan Couture enters his age 34 season, which is kind of crazy. Logan Couture is already going to be, is already 34. But Couture had a massive season for the Sharks, and if it wasn't for Erik Karlsson doing insane Erik Karlsson things, I think that would be kind of the biggest topic coming out of this season from the Sharks or one of the biggest topics is just kind of the renaissance season we saw from Couture, where he kind of, the past couple seasons were struggled for him. He dealt with injuries, wasn't putting up the stats that we normally see from Logan Couture, and we saw him kind of turn back the clock, and I think that's the focus of today's episode is, did Logan Couture kind of find the secret to success, and this is what we're going to see from Couture going forward? Or was this just kind of everything worked out for Couture, and we might start to see more and more regression? So before we get into everything, let's look at what Couture actually did this year. So if you're watching on YouTube, plenty of graphs for you guys today. So Couture played all 82 games. That is the first time Couture has done that since the 2014-2015 season, his age 25 season. He's played, for the most part, it's been relatively healthy, playing the majority of games. 1920, he missed he missed about 20 games in that season. That shortened season. Missed a handful of games in 2021. Last year, he missed about 5 games in the 2021-2022 season. He's been kind of dinged up here and there, and, he's definitely played through some injuries as well, definitely dealing with some back stuff. I remember the past couple seasons, but had 27 goals. Again, the most that we have seen from Couture in a long time. So 27 goals, that was his most since the 17-18 season when he scored 34 goals. That's his career high in goals, is that 17-18 season, his age 28 season. Also, again, put up 40 assists this year, most since the 18-19 season when he ended up with 67 points. Again, that 67 points ties a career high in points. So we really saw a Logan Couture that we haven't seen in a long time from him. Corsi 4, he had 198 shots on goal this year, averaged 19:08 time on ice, 47% 0.58 Corsi 4, 45.13% goals for. That's both 5-on-5 time. So when I did this at the halfway point, the Corsi 4 is around 45%. So kind of the same thing with the goals for. It was around 44, 43%. So did see a bit of an increase over the second half of the season for Logan Couture in those departments. Pulled up his athletic player card. Still position, center line, role, top line. Still kind of very high in the percentile ranks, 86 percentile for goals, 86 percentile for assists, 88 percentile for points, 95 percentile for time on ice. So he gets a ton of ice. Not as productive as you want to see, but still very, very productive. Again, hit a lot of career highs or highs we haven't seen from Couture in a long, long time. Expected goals for 87th percentile there. Defense is down. Usage is 73 percentile. So Couture in his however they do their market value. So his salary again, he'll be entering next year in his age 34 season, the fourth year of the fifth year. We have 4 years left of $8 million contract. Market value 7.7. So basically, he's about what you'd expect in an open market type of situation. From Evolving Hockey, I just want to bring another set of analytics. The more numbers, the better, right? Overall, for his role, 54 percentile offense, 74th percentile defense, 20 percentile. Was solid in the total goals above replacement, expected goals replacement. Didn't draw as many penalties as you would expect for him, but did a good job of not taking a lot of penalties. His time on ice is kind of between that forward 1, forward 2 department, especially with Hertl kind of being the top line center for the Sharks. Got a ton of power play, of course, and got a ton of shorthanded. He was one of the Sharks' biggest shorthanded killers, especially as a centerman. So, I think with Couture, we definitely saw, the offense improving this year. And that was, if you remember back to last year, that was one of my big questions is, what do you do with Couture? Do you kind of make him an offensive? Because in the past couple seasons, he's had to really, really either be an offensive guy. Well, the past couple seasons, he had to be both, but an offensive, provide offense and be a shutdown defensive center. And this year, as we'll get to here in a second with segment 2, he didn't have to do that. They let him kind of provide the offense that we know that's been from Couture and kind of take a little bit off his plate. And there's been a big reason why that has been, and that we'll get to here in a second. But, if you had told me before the year Couture would be pushing 70 points, I think we would have all been, kind of shocked to see that. And Couture having a 67-point season really, really, if this is the Couture that we're getting going forward, this contract may not age as bad as we previously thought. So before we get into the 2 reasons why Logan Couture really, really found his groove again this year, do want to take a quick break, talk to you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. And you guys know right now is basketball season and baseball season, playoff hockeys, but Grand Slams, no hitters, double plays are back. There's no better place to get it on MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Place your first bet and get up to $1,000 back and bonus bets if you don't win. Plenty of fun things out there to bet. Aaron Judge hitting a home run, always a fun thing to bet. They have great same game parlays. So if you really like maybe Ohtani to win, to maybe strike out 10 hitters but the Angels to lose, that feels like it's probably gonna happen a lot because that's the Angels. So Don't miss your chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. All right, and there's two big reasons, I think, for why Logan Couture really, really saw a huge jump offensively this year. Number one, I think it's Nico Sturm. Sharks signed Nico Sturm this year, kind of expected maybe a 4C position. Quickly throughout the season, took that job from Nick Bonino, became the 3C, and then that's when we had the Hurdle, Couture, Sturm, and then Lawrence, kind of your center, your pivots there. Last year, the 2021-22 season, though, Couture, it was the Hurdle, Couture, Bonino, and who else? Whoever, Jasper Weatherby, whomever else you could find to play center on the fourth line. But I think solving that center position really helped to kind of find a pecking order. So Couture last year had 283 offensive zone starts, 360 neutral zone starts, 383 defensive zone starts. 42.49% of his starts were in the offensive zone last year. So really had to kind of work his way out. Nick Bonino kind of took the majority of those defensive zone starts, 220, 351, 401. And again, we know what happened with Nick Bonino, where he eventually lost his job as the centerman, even at the end of the season when Thomas Bordeleau showed up. And then this season, again, quickly lost his job to Nico Sturm and was placed on the wing as well. This year, under David Quinn, much different, right? Offensive zone starts for Logan Couture, 332 offensive zone starts, 406 neutral zone starts, and 409 defensive zone starts. I know the zone starts, the numbers sound, much different, but offensive zone faceoffs, 44.8%. So jumped up 2% there. But again, Nico Sturm getting kind of a good chunk of these and being able to actually do something with it, right? So Nico Sturm had 209 offensive zone starts, 277 neutral zone starts, 357 defensive zone starts. Yes, you start in the zone, but how can you get out of the zone? I think Nico Sturm did a much better job of that, and then kind of set, as the third line, then you kind of set up those hop lines to be able to take more, do more offensively. So I think Nico Sturm's arrival and really solidifying the 3C position, allowing Logan Couture to have more opportunities to play in the offensive zone. Again, going from 283 offensive zone starts to 332 offensive zone starts. That's a big jump right there. It's 50 offensive zone starts for him. Being able to provide him with more offense there. And even neutral zone starts, 406 this year to 360. Again, putting Logan Couture in a better position to succeed because he's not having to start all the way in his own end and work it out. And I think the second half of that is Alexander Barabanov, partnering him with Couture, with Barabanov, especially Barabanov, who is a transition monster. How many times when those two guys were on the ice, especially when Erik Karlsson wasn't, was it Barabanov being the one to bring the puck out of the zone and kind of set things up offensively? This season, when these two guys played together at 5-on-5, Alexander Barabanov, Logan Couture played 683 minutes together, time on ice at 5-on-5. Corsi for 642 shot attempts. Corsi allowed 615. Corsi for 51.07%. So they were producing, doing good things during that time. They had the majority of the shot attempts. Expected goals for 36.14. Expected goals allowed 30.05. 54% expected goals for. Scoring chances for 394 to 331. 54% scoring chances when they were on the ice together. Logan Couture in the 358 minutes without Alexander Barabanov, 290 shot attempts, 412 given up. Corsi for 41%. Scoring chance shots for 150 to 194, 43.6%. Goals or expected goals for 14.74 to 17.85, 45%. Scoring chances for 170 to 210. Scoring chances for 44.74. Again, we see, right, without Barabanov, Couture just isn't the same player. So Alexander Barabanov under contract for the next year. I think this proves that, one, you need to have a solid 3C. And with Nico Sturm being under contract for the next couple of years, it seems like they're going to have, and he's 27, 28, like I think they have that 3C position kind of locked down for the next couple of years. You don't have to worry about that, right? And then two, you need to have a kind of dynamic puck moving winger with Logan Couture and Alexander Barabanov. And then hopefully, and I know Barabanov has one more year left on his deal. You can easily resign him if you want to trade him, but you have some guys coming up who can potentially take that role, right? You have William Eklund. We've seen Bordelot on the wing. I don't think it's going to be too much longer for Daniel Gushin. Like, there's some potential replacements there. Or if you want to be active in free agency, you're going to have a little bit of cap space this offseason. We'll get into that. So I think those are the two things, right? Giving someone who can help in the transition game and move the puck, especially if you're not have Erik Karlsson, and then solving that 3C. If those things are together, I don't see why I don't see why Logan Couture cannot continue to be an effective 2C going forward for the Sharks for the next few years, as you kind of continue to transition and rebuild right now. But with the hope that one day you find a legitimate 1C, Hurdle becomes your 2C, Couture becomes your 3C. And if Logan Couture is your 3C, and, look at Joe Thornton a couple years ago. I know Logan Couture and Joe Thornton aren't the same players, but when the Sharks are very good, having Joe Thornton as the best 3C in the league. If Logan Couture was your 3C, or if you wanted to move him to the wing or whatever, like, it gives you more flexibility. So I think, but those are the keys for Logan Couture to be successful, right? Is having that 3C and a guy like Nico Sturm who can kind of do the dirty work successfully, and then having that kind of dynamic transitional playmaker on the wing for him. So before we continue, kind of look at some of the other Sharks players as they entered their age 34 season, and what to kind of expect from Logan Couture going forward. Do want to take a quick break, talk to you guys about our friends over at Athletic Greens. Today's episode is brought to you by a product that my wife uses literally every day, AG1 by Athletic Greens. Maybe you're like her and you want to be healthy, eat well, but it's always easier said than done. That's no longer the case with AG1. With one delicious scoop of AG1 in a glass of water, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens help start your day right. The special blend of ingredients support your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, aging, all the things. It can be hard and expensive to keep track of multiple different supplements and vitamins, not to mention how hard it can be on your stomach. AG1 costs less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. So right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with a convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of their immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs for the first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. All right, lastly, what can we expect from Logan Couture going forward? So I looked at 3 well-known Sharks players, forwards, a couple of them were centers, and kind of what to expect for them as they go from their age 33 to their age 34 season. So one, Joe Pavelski, you may have heard of him. His age 33 season, he had 82 games. He had 22 goals, 44 assists for 66 points. Reminder, Couture, 27 goals, 40 assists, and for 67 points. What did he do the next year? what was a contract year for him in his last season in San Jose in 75 games. Joe Pavelski had 38 goals, 26 assists, 64 points. I think if Logan Couture puts up 38 goals next year, that would be absolutely insane. But you see the point production, though, 66 points to 64 points. Didn't really drop off too much. He had 7, and that was in 75 games that year. Pavelski's also kind of found the fountain youth and has put up in the last couple seasons in Dallas. He had 77 points in 82 games this year. He was basically a point per player in his 21-22 season at 81 points in 82 games. And then, yeah, he's been an absolute monster for the Dallas. So and then he had 51 points in the 56 games in the bubble season. So been absolutely, has really found the fountain of youth in Dallas, been their top line. And I think it's because of his style of play. It's just the way he plays, right? And he has dynamic playmakers around him. So just something to keep in mind there. One, Joe Thornton, who we mentioned earlier. So a little bit different with him in his age 33 season. That was a strike year. So they played 48 games. He had 7 goals, 33 assists. So he had 40 points in 48 games for Joe Thornton. And we know Logan Couture, he's a better goal scorer than Joe Thornton. Joe Thornton, he wanted to pass the puck. But the next season, in his age 34 season for Joe Thornton, 82 games, had 11 goals, 65 assists, 76 points. I don't expect that type of production, especially with the lack of goal scorers. This was the 2013 to 2014 season for the Sharks. But again, you're not seeing that kind of production dry up. In his age 35 season, Joe Thornton had played 78 games, 16 goals, 49 assists, 65 points. I think we will see less assists from Couture and more goal production type of thing, but you can kind of see the points being relatively close in that type of situation. Joe Thornton is age 36 season, 82 games, 19 goals, 63 assists, 82 points. He was a point per player as a 36-year-old. Absolute legend. What ridiculous, Joe Thornton. All right, and then the last one I looked at was Patrick Marleau. So his age 33 season was also the lockout season as well. 48 games, played had 17 goals, 14 assists, 31 points there. In his age 34 season, 82 games, played 33 games, had 33 goals, 37 assists, 70 points. His age 35 season, he had, again, 82 games. Well, of course, he played every game. 19 goals, 38 assists, 57 points. So that one feels really kind of close for the expectations for Logan Couture going forward. I think Couture will probably be in that 60 to 65 points. 25 goals kind of feels about right for Couture kind of moving forward for the next couple of seasons. So that is some of the, that's I think a look at why Logan Couture, why his season was so successful, and then kind of what to look forward to. So with Couture, especially if he can continue to have guys like Barabanov or other dynamic play, wings on his side who can kind of help do the heavy lifting when it comes, especially to moving the puck out of his zone and being kind of let Couture kind of slide in that Joe Pavelski-like role of, going to crashing the net, kind of being that guy, and then let some of the other guys do the heavy lifting. And then having a guy like Nico Sturm who can really help take the burden off of having to take those tough defensive zone starts and actually do positive things with them, like get them out of the zone and kind of set up the rest of the team. So, so Logan Couture, really, really good season. And again, like I said earlier, if it wasn't for Erik Karlsson going absolute bananas, we would be kind of talking about, wow, what a season Logan Couture had. Really kind of a nice throwback season. So I hope we figured out why and what to expect from Couture going forward. And do want to thank you guys for making Locked On Sharks your first listen every day. Every dayers. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to be talking about Tomas Hertl. If last season was a bump in the road, or if things are much, much more worrisome than we might be thinking. So make sure you guys are following along for that. Also expect a draft profile here in the next day or two as well. So you're getting 6 episodes this week from me. So we'll be back tomorrow. Make sure you guys are following along on the show, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can listen wherever you get podcasts, watch on YouTube as well. Of course, episodes drop on YouTube first. You can follow me on Twitter at MyFryHole. And until tomorrow, bye, friends.